Yeah.
All right, it's called meeting to order. Minutes, approval of minutes, April 3rd, 2024. Second.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? So moved. Next set, May 17th, 2024. I get a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. All right, Jack or Bob.
So again, Bob, I kind of introduced your project just a little bit. Bob Kelly is executive director for former MHA, now People First. We've been doing a number of projects with them. This involves a new project that they have called AMP1, and it is will be located to the ND Peters, FX Matt, and Adrian Terrace site. So Bob, take it away and just kind of,
Thank you for the opportunity. We are in the position to try to reposition our entire portfolio. AMP1 consists of FX Matt, ND Peters, and Adrian Terrace located on Armory Drive and Culver Ave, immediately adjacent to Mohawk Valley Community College. It has 361 units. The Municipal Housing Authority was one of the first 6 housing authorities created in this country back in 1937, pursuant to the Public Housing Act of 1937. And Adrian Terrace was built and opened in 1939. So despite the fact we tried to do a pretty good job maintaining the site and the buildings, we've reached a stage of functional obsolescence with regards to all of our buildings, and in particular AMP1. So over the course of the last couple of years, we've been working collaboratively with a co-developer called the Casino Group. They're currently our co-developer on the remodeling of Chancellor Apartments and the adaptive reuse of the Broad Street warehouse into affordable housing to try to position ourselves to tear down the entire complex at AMP1 and rebuild it. We've had preliminary discussions with HCR. The numbers, quite frankly, are staggering. You're talking about a $285 million endeavor, done in 2 funding phases, one being a 9% funding application that will go in the end of this month. If we're awarded, we'll start construction in the spring or summer of 2025, and will encompass the tearing down of 3 buildings at ND Peters and the erection of a new 65-unit building on the grounds where the demolition takes place. Phase 2 will be a funding application that will go in concurrently with our 9% for the application. And that will see the demolition of remaining units on site. And that will have $250 million endeavor. So the first phase is $35 million. We've gotten nothing but positive reviews from the state in terms of their support for this endeavor. One of the key elements with regards to this project is the fact that it's located in an integrated community, not a segregated, affordable community that stands by itself and stands out like a sore thumb, but it's integrated within an existing class neighborhood. So they're very, very receptive to funding initiative. The only hiccup that we've experienced is that SHPO has indicated that they believe that there's some historical significance with regards to the 1939 building. They were in town here on July 26th. We did a tour and had post-tour discussions with them. They have resigned themselves to the fact that these buildings really don't have historical significance. So we've retained a consultant to work with SHPO to generate a memorandum of agreement that will allow us to tear down Adrian Terrace. There's some mitigating circumstances and there's some things that we will do from the historical perspective to acknowledge the significance of those buildings from 1939. We will retain some things like the window sills, which are all granite, and we're going to reutilize them in the new facility. Some of the stairwell railings are unique. They will be preserved and be utilized in reconstruction. There's several other mitigation factors. We'll do a historical exhibit that will be permanently displayed at our community center so that we can retain the historical significance of the site and the buildings. But we're excited about it. We believe that we have a responsibility to enhance the quality of life of the people that we serve. Living environments are truly a prominent responsibility and something that the residents take great interest in. We're asking for a deviation from your normal pilot. And I will say this with regards to the deviation. We're not a for-profit entity. So any and all of our net income that's derived from projects like this go back into the project, go back into serving the needs of the residents that we have. And we're talking about people that are vulnerable and disabled and elderly, or are utilized for purposes of generating pre-development or paying for pre-development expenses for other initiatives that we're looking to generate within the community. So it doesn't go in anybody's pockets. It's not spent for frivolous means. It's spent for the needs of the community, people that we serve. And for that reason, we're asking for the DD.
What do you do with the tenants over there when you're repurposing?
That's the biggest issue that we're going to experience. We have approximately 1,000 residents that reside there. Phase one is only going to displace 28 units. And so what we'll do come late fall, we'll start taking units offline. So when units become vacant, we will not refill them. So we intend to utilize our existing inventory for purposes of the first phase. And then when we get to the second phase, which will displace hundreds of people, we're going to have to come up with a true relocation plan. We've hired an entity that we're utilizing on Chancellor Broad called Housing to Homes. They're out of Boston, Massachusetts. They've done a wonderful job. So we're in the throes of putting together a relocation package. And one of the things that we're looking at is maybe we can have some set aside units at Broad Street, 74 units that will be ready for occupancy come the first quarter of 2025. Set some of those units aside so that we can utilize those for purposes of relocation. But it's going to be a challenge. There's no question about it. Great question.
Questions from anybody else?
Sounds like a great project.
Yeah.
Yeah, we look forward to it.
Yeah. Calling it historic is interesting.
And what's your financing, Bob, again?
So the financing is a 9% deal from a construction standpoint. City has provided us with a commitment letter for phase one, and they have interest obviously in phase two. And Boston Financial will be the permanent financer once the construction is completed.
And what's the nature of the deviation on the pilot?
3.5%.
3.5.
That's opposed to 7%.
It's-
Correct.
Yeah. Have we done 3.5?
We have over at Sunset,
This,
Culverman, and then HPA coming up is
Yep.
in that same boat.
it's a, yeah.
I think we also did Jack at Chancellor.
Oh, yes, you're right. Yeah, because it was existing, it was an existing building versus building new.
And we currently, despite the fact that we're not exempt, we currently pay taxes, or we currently make payments.
Yeah.
To the city of Utica under a
Cooperation.
cooperation agreement for all of them. So it's not as though we take advantage of the tax exemption. There is, and it's a formula driven payment. So every year it changes in terms of scope and amount, but there is a payment that we pay for all of our sites.
And how does this 3.5% compare to what you're currently paying under the cooperation agreements? Is it,
It's considerably more.
okay, that's,
If you allocate the payment, it's considerably more. I think the gross payment over the course of the last couple of years has been in the $150,000 to $175,000 range
okay,
for our global portfolio, not just this particular AMP, but our global portfolio. So this will be substantially more than paid in the past.
so by the agency deviating, you'll actually be generating more revenue for the checks and jurisdictions than,
Correct.
okay. And People First AMP is going to be what type of corporation?
Well, we're going to create an LLC, so People First AMP One will be an LLC that will be the ownership entity for this particular site.
And that will be a for-profit.
That has to be a
It has
for-profit.
to be a for-profit, okay.
Then you'll create an HDC
Yeah.
that will
Okay.
operate and manage and develop the site.
That's standard.
Mhm.
Sounds like a great project.
Yeah.
Much needed in that area.
Yeah, I mean, despite concerns within the community that we have too much affordable housing within this community. If you come down to my office and you see the people that walk in on a daily basis unannounced and have no place to go, living out of their cars, disabled, vulnerable. 28% of the population in the city of Utica was under the poverty level based upon the last census. So the demand and the need is there, number one. Number two, the fact that our forefathers put public housing in this community in areas of wealth is a credit to them, because usually they segregate these types of populations and these type of projects in areas of blight and despair. So we're unusual, but there's a huge demand, and we're going to be here with the Community Foundation in front of you in September, I hope, on another project within Cornhill, which is a unique project. For any comments to it. It's the only contract in the sense that Community Foundation is the first venture that they're going into being an actual owner rather than just a funder. And I'm happy with that, the fact that they chose us as a co-owner.
So Bob, your prospective tenants, is there any mix that will arguably be employees that are, feeding local businesses or?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we have approximately 25 people that carpool every morning at 4:00 in the morning from AMP1 to go to Chobani.
No, perfect.
And we're
It's-
12-hour shifts.
Yeah.
So, these are the type of people that are filling the now hiring signs that we've seen since COVID within the community. So, the stigma is that they're just part of the entitlement work. But the vast majority of them are working
That's
for.
It's very important for our mission is, contributing to the economic prosperity of, local employers and that type of stuff. So you're checking the boxes.
Speaking to the need of low-income housing, what is your vacancy rate? I mean, are you pretty much full across the board?
Yeah, I mean, our occupancy rate is 98%. And the other 2% are units that need some renovation. Otherwise, we'd be at 100%. So, we were told a long time ago that with all the new affordable housing that's taking place, that they would put us out of business. And very honestly, the contrary has occurred. In light of the fact that our name change is a reflection of what our priority is, and the priority should be the individual, not the key.
Right.
And that's what we prioritize, the individual, not the key. And as a result of prioritizing the needs of people, and despite the fact that our units, I'll be the first one to acknowledge, are old and are beyond the ability to utilize Band-Aids, we really need to put tourniquets on these units and tear them down. Despite that, our occupancy rates have gone up over the course of the last 5 years. Our retention levels have gone up over the course of the last 5 years. People recognize when you care about them and you know them by their individual names. That goes a long way. And so we're not driven by the bottom line. We're cognizant of the bottom line, but not driven by the bottom line. And when you take care of people, the tendency, despite the fact you have old units, is that they want to stay.
Good. Thanks for your dedication.
Appreciate that.
Where do we go from there, Jack?
So the reason Jack wanted Mr. Kelly to come in and give this presentation is the IDA is not in a position right now to adopt an inducement resolution because seeker hasn't been addressed by the lead agency. As you described, there was the SHPO arrangement that needed to be worked out, but Jack tells me that the planning board will look at this August 15th.
We're hoping that Bob has some revised letter to be put to the before the planning board on the 15th, I believe it is. And then from there, in our subsequent meeting on the 21st of this month, then we would be, if we have the seeker, then be able to induce this project and then pass approve the seeker resolution also.
I would just say this, just so you can understand our timeline. The 9% application is not something that can be submitted on an ongoing basis. 4% applications can be submitted anytime during the course of the year. 9%, you have one round. It used to be 2 rounds, you have 1 round.
Right.
The deadline for submission of a 9% application is September 18th. If we do not, and I'm not putting any pressure, I'm just giving you a factual scenario. If we do not have a final pilot by September 18th, our application is dead on arrival.
When you say final pilot, you mean a
Final approval.
final approval,
Final
not,
resolution.
okay.
Not closing, not closing.
Okay.
No, final approval. So I know you have to have a public hearing with regards to these things. But if we don't have that, our project will be delayed by a year because the next round of 9% applications is next September, August or September.
And what is your confidence, pardon me, that SHPO will have that letter in time
We've asked
for
for
the
it.
planning board? And
We've asked for it. We have a meeting scheduled next Wednesday, the SHPO officials and our consultant here in Utica. And so we're trying to finalize the terms of that MOA that we referenced.
Okay.
So seeker 8/15, UIDA the 21st, so we would call for a public hearing.
It'd have to be like right after Labor Day. Right?
Yeah,
And then your meeting would be
right after
that
that.
week or maybe the next week. You
yeah,
might have to
We'll
push
figure
it
out
to
the
the next
timing.
week
yeah, yes, yeah.
for the hearing.
Third to whatever it is.
So yeah, inducement, public hearing, and then we have to do the final resolution approving that.
So the purpose of Mr. Kelly coming in today to give this presentation is to make sure that if there were any questions at this time, they could be addressed before he submits the final application to be considered. Because of this tight timeline, we just didn't want to take any chances of, the board
Pushing it too far
wishing
down.
to table it at the next
Right.
meeting for lack of information, so.
I don't think it'll be a problem.
Okay. Questions?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Bob.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Bob.
I have the after. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
If you can have Rick provide me with all
Those
the rest of
attachments,
everything.
yes.
Yes, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Bob.
Appreciate it.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
That's a good project.
Yes, absolutely.
That place was old. When I was
Yeah.
playing for Adrian.
Adrian Terrace, I mean, when I was a kid, it
Right? It
said
was old.
Gilmore Village and Adrian Terrace.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
old business.
Old business, on your agenda, you'll see that, there are Hotel Street owners, People First, Broad and Chancellor, and 1400 Broad. I have, at the time I had called and got a consensus for the extension of the sales tax exemptions. Except for Steve, as you know, we generally give the sales tax exemption for 1 year. And then after that, even if someone says, well, my construction period is going to be maybe 18 months or 24 months, we still only give it in 6-month increments. That way we can kind of manage the project and make sure that they're moving along. We know what their numbers are, et cetera. Generally, we charge a $500 fee for any type of an extension, but as long as they're operating within the construction time frame that they've outlined in the application, then we don't charge them that. But if they needed to go beyond perhaps the 18 months, then we would charge them, still get the letter from them outlining what it is, where they are with their project, how much do they need, how much did they spend so far, et cetera. So each of these, while I have been told that we don't need to ratify them, they are within the time frames of their construction periods that they have previously outlined. So it's just kind of a heads up.
So we don't have to ratify them, should we?
Just do it.
Can't hurt.
Individually.
Just in mass, and then
Okay.
Four resolutions.
Can I get a motion to ratify the sales tax exemptions for the 3 projects? Dave, second. John?
One.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Historical apartments.
Okay, as I mentioned, the historical park apartments came to us previous meeting or so ago, and they were looking to finance their project with tax exempt bonds. The principal thought that he had good connections with the state and other municipalities where they could provide the allocation. They needed, I think, $11 million. The city only gets $1 million based on size, et cetera, and previous activity. Because they couldn't secure all that tax exempt bonding, then they decided to go with the same that Mr. Cali is kind of talking about, the Homes and Community Renewal, the Housing Finance Administration Authority. So they are coming to us now for basically a reauthorization or a reapproval of an inducement resolution. There are some changes. They are looking for a period of 35 years as opposed to the 30 years that we typically give. Because of the tight numbers, it was suggested to them by the HCR that they pursue the 35-year pilot for this. The project has been paying taxes. This will, by going with this is a 3%, which we approved originally, of the effective gross income is how we generally look at these types of low to moderate income housing projects. So as opposed to, say, Trenton Technologies, that is based off of their assessed value, this is off of what the effective gross income is minus the vacancy factor. So again, the approval today, and I'll read our little ditty here. Consider an inducement resolution relating to the HP Utica Preservation LLC facility, providing preliminary approval for financial assistance in the form of a reduction in real property taxes for a period of 35 years, value estimated at $527,482, which financial assistance is a deviation from the agency's uniform tax exemption policy, and authorizing the agency to conduct a public hearing. So typically with these projects also, a mortgage recording tax is provided, and also a sales tax exemption. On some of these projects, depending on how it's structured, they do not need that from us at this time. So they will secure that from the state itself.
Is there a financing package 35 years also?
Correct.
Okay, so usually we match the.
Yeah, we match they want us to be coterminous with our pilot and what their financing
They
structure is.
demand that you be coterminous.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not optional.
Good. Okay, can I get a motion? Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Anything else?
That's it for me.
That's it?
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn?
Brilliant.
Well, not bad.
So Jack, did you confirm the next meeting will be August 21st? Is that
That's my set date.
okay?
As long as it fits within the time frame of the
John, you gonna be around
The
then?
public hearing,
Well, we already scheduled